How you doing, everybody? From the Civic Center in Hammond, Indiana, over the Midwest Pioneer and Chief, New York Chief of Roller Derby Networks, the excitement, glamour, and color of international Roller Derby League action. I'm Chet Kopic, along with Don Drury, our very special guest, television voice of the New York Chiefs. First period action, distaff wheelers on the track as we pick up action in the pack. Numbers on both sides, very recognizable to all fans throughout the country. Now Darlene Forbes with the Shalag, the Blarney Stone, lifts up those arms and comes up high with the elbow. On Carolyn Moreland, the Chiefs out of the 40 series, green and gold jerseys. They're on top right now, 3-zip, and Moreland is in the pack. She has scored for this Chief club. Action going on the offensive, going to the Chiefs, the Pioneers in the early going, having difficulty offensively. And as we check the scoreboard, we find out that margin has been increased. The world champions now up by 6 at 6-0. And a very special welcome to Don Drury.
Thank you, Chet. I'm certainly pleased to be here in Hammond, Indiana to help you call this game between the powerful world champion New York Chiefs and, of course, the Midwest Pioneers. Chiefs, as usual, getting off to a good start. We know that Joan Weston is out of the lineup, and that's probably one of the reasons that the score is a little bit on the lopsided side right now, with the Chiefs on top 6-0.
Of course, Don, on your side with the female wheelers, you are minus the services of Judi McGuire and Debbie Thompson.
They should be returning to action very, very shortly, though. A slight knee injury for Debbie Thompson and shoulder muscles for Judi McGuire.
Chief girls, jammers, 48 Baker, 49 Sacco, and they put down Susie Neibauer. Back in the pack for the Chiefs, 43 Carolyn Moreland, 42 Pokey Truman, and 46 is Sandy Dunn. And look at Monica Sunovich. The dart goes to work. Goes under the outstretched arms like under goal posts in football. And they're picking up the pace here in the Civic Center. Dunn, she can't make it happen.
Tremendous play out there, Chet. Kasanovich coming up, ducking low to the middle of that double block, then taking off, came in on Dunn with 2 of the Chiefs directly behind her, again squatted low. I don't think Sandy was ready for that. She picked up 1 point for the Pioneers.
The ice has been broken. And don't forget, for you fans, back in Chicago, final series of the season for the Midwest Pioneers, June 10th, 7 p.m. They're in Chicago's International Amphitheater against the awesome Red Devils. Get this, infield coach Ken Monty, one of the greats, dangerous Bob Woodbury, Ann Calvello, Bobby Sieber, Rosetta Saunders, JoJo Stafford, and 240-pound female Samoan, Aloha Linda Villanueva. Pioneers have just 2 more games in this series in Chicago. June 10th, June 22nd, then they leave the area for almost 4 months. That's right, almost 4 months. Now a special event on Saturday, June 10th. Joan Weston and Calvello for laps legal blocking. Pioneer girls, 50, the Ebony Spunk, Rita Williams, 57, Jones, 51, the Dart, Monica Sunovich, 58, Darlene Forbes, and the ice cream kid is number 53, Sherry Erich. Back in the pack, Sandy Dunn goes to work up high with the knees. Monica Sunovich taking the abuse. Now here come jammers on both sides, and the Chiefs have gotten themselves on the scoreboard with a deuce. And Don, as you mentioned, Chiefs noted continuously, always off the track with a fast start.
As it was, Chet will also point out on the last play that it was a double team play that the Chiefs used quite frequently. Barbara Baker and Sandy Dunn both competing against number 51, Lana Kasanovich, on the last jam, and the Chiefs with 2 jammers out. They were also short-handed, as Moreland had picked up a penalty prior to that for blocking in between the jams.
As we regroup, if you'd like to have a game scheduled in your area, and you have a gym at a high school or a college or an arena that seats better than 2,500 people, write to bookings, Post Office Box 1827, Oakland, California, 94604. Let's get some outdoor dates this summer. Let's go into the big stadiums like Shea Stadium, Chicago's White Sox Park, as we watch Carolyn Moreland going to work with the forearms on Candy, the Dandy Jones of the Pioneers. Number 57 retaliates. Again, and down goes Moreland. Now the Pioneers with the lone offensive threat. Under 2 minutes remaining in period number 1, and the Pioneers need a harvest. They've got to get the tote board working. They trail by 7 and 8-1, and here comes the go-go chant. Candy will work on Sandy Dunn. And the women's captain orders her team into the pull-away. The green and gold on the move in the Civic Center. Jones picks up the whip from Neibauer. Now Erich extends the right hand on the left. Jones picks up the pace. She's on the floor. Oh, baby. With 1:09 remaining in the first period, Candy Jones, who's given this Pioneer Club a lift on so many occasions, gives her team 3 big points, and now the Pioneers trail at 8-4.
Jones moving out on that last play, taking a lot of abuse prior on the first part of the jam. Chet coming right back to hand it out and end up the only jammer out there. Believe there was a penalty called on Sandy Dunn slugging after the play. New York remains on top. The Eastern Chiefs 8 and the Midwest Pioneers 4. 35 seconds here in the first period.
Sandy Dunn, of course, 1968 playoff most valuable skater. All-Star every year since 1966. I know I put her on my Eastern All-Star squad for this season. 5'5", 125, although I think she might be just a little bit heavier than that. That much remaining for under 20 seconds. Action back in the pack is furious. Forbes going to work on Moreland. I believe she'll be penalized. Referees Lou Donovan and Dave Cannella keeping a watchful eye. Dunn. Dunn going to work on Forbes. Neither team willing to be intimidated. And we're out of time in the first period. 2, 3, and 4 coming up, plus the interview session. I'll be talking with the Greek sneak, Nick Skopas. With a score, the world champion Chiefs 8 and the Midwest Pioneers 4. Let's pause for a moment.
Men taking over now. This is Don Drury and Chet Comic calling the action from the Hammond Civic Center, Hammond, Indiana. The Pioneers trailing by 4 points in this jam in progress. Number 59, John Rice, moving out for the Pioneers, followed by John Early, number 47 for the Chiefs. Early moving to the inside. A series of elbow blocks. Rice back. Rice digging right back in out of that Pioneer turn. Races on. Rice coming up. Elbow block. Down the straightaway. Belts in with another one. Side by side. Elbow block again into the back. And Early has been dumped. The Pioneers now with the only jammer out moving on the play. They're down by 4. Both teams short-handed. Early has been dumped in the rear of the pack by Ronnie Robinson. Rice moves in, running his way by. Still going. He'll be moving on Bill Grohl in the rear of that pack. Robinson back on the assist. Rice takes a whip to the outside. Grohl in to meet him. Short elbow block, puts him to the Masonite. Rice up, rolls it off. There was 1 Pioneer point scored by John Rice. The assist coming from Ronnie Robinson. The score now, the New York Chiefs with 8, the Pioneers with 5.
All right, Don Drury. As we watch John Early with retaliation, returning the compliment to John Rice, and the bearded New York Chief will sit. We'll bring you fans up to date on some changes on that Pioneer roster. Ed Hessen and Tony Smith have been replaced. Wearing jersey number 53 for the Pioneers is Johnny Harmata, the Hummer. You fans remember him, he is back. Johnny the Hummer Harmata. And number 56, a big, long, lean kid who reminds me of Bob Woodbury. That is Frank Williams. And we would like to mention that joining the Pioneers for their series with the Red Devils in a trade for future consideration, the Pioneers have acquired Larry Smith and Francine Cochou from the Jokers. Take it, Dan.
Mike Gammon and Nick Skopas both out moving on the play. Doing the fastest men on the bank track today out there, Chet. Skopas, tremendous effort in the past 2 series. Bob Hine, Bill Grohl at the rear of the pack. Skopas is taking the lead away from a speedy Mike Gammon. Gammon attempting to close that gap, easily moving back up on Skopas in the rear. Robinson, Hine with a block. Gammon inside. Quick agility, cutting that jam off, preventing any score over Bill Grohl. No score on the play.
Don't forget upcoming Pioneer dates, that final series with the Red Devils in the Midwest, Tuesday, June 12th, Grand Rapids Auditorium in Michigan, 8 p.m. kickoff. Hammond Civic Center, good old Hammond, June 13th, a Wednesday, 8 p.m. Kids are half-price tickets at Ticketron. On the 15th, that's a Friday, Municipal Auditorium, Kansas City, Missouri. June 16th, a Saturday, Kiel Auditorium, St. Louis. Get this, big treat for you fans down there at the Kiel. Match race, Weston, Calvello, 4 laps, legal blocking. Sunday, June 17th, the schedule continues. Mid-South Coliseum, Memphis, Tennessee. I'll have more dates later on. 9/11 remaining in number 2, and here is Don Drury.
John Harmon, number 53, moving out for the Pioneers. He's going against a rough competitor, number 43, Joe Perez of the Eastern Chiefs. 1-1 on the play. Hammers moving along. Perez sets the mark. Harmon directly behind him now. Robinson with a block in that back, setting one of the blockers high up along the rail. Again, Lloyd Turbin has been spun around by Ronnie Robinson. Both offensive jammers now approaching scoring position at the rear of the pack. Sidestep by Perez, back to the inside, Armada down. Perez sliding into the rail, Armada back up. Both jammers down again. Both scrambling for the lead. Perez back up and moving first. Armada losing a little bit of distance there, about a third of a lap. Bill Grohl back in the assist. Robinson back to do the blocking. Grohl moving back there along with Perez. No movers yet. Armada starting to approach. Grohl making a drive. Moves to the inside. Missile block to Robinson. Robinson back with a block to the outside. Perez cut off. Armada in. Jump block. Perez down. Armada up and moving first. Perez back up without that helmet on is now an eligible scorer, even though he has lost the helmet. Again, both jammers fighting with each other for the lead on that jam. Time has run out. There was no score. Tremendous drive by both of those jammers.
Excellent play all the way around. You know, Dan, the Pioneers picking up Larry Smith and Francine Cochut, two diminutive skaters, but two people who will add great speed and depth to the Pioneers. I think it's got to help our club against the Red Devils, and for that reason throughout the campaign.
I'd have to say so too, Chet. More so in the women's field than really in the men's field. You have Joan Weston, you have Darlene Forbes, you have Candy Jones, but they really need something just a little bit extra to give, say, Candy Jones that little bit of time to rest, and I think Francine will do it.
Here comes the bald eagle.
Bob Hine out moving. He's been doing a tremendous amount of jamming throughout the past of this season. The later part, Hine put down by last season's Rookie of the Year, Larry Lee. Very unusual that you'll see a 14-year veteran dumped by a rookie. And now Bill Grohl dropping to the rear of the pack, throws a couple of sharp elbow blocks into the chest of Hine. Hine slowed down. Hine caught behind the pack, will be forced to do the blocking. He's a big man. He can do the job. He throws a block, and the goal gets him out of the way. Lee moves in. Good, solid shoulder block back there by Hine. Grohl check forward. Lee check back. And here comes Nick Scopus out of that pack now. Scopus pouring it on. Scopus coming down the straightaway on the rear. Scopus putting the pressure on that rookie. Moves to the inside. Takes the lead. Still going. They score. One Pioneer point picked up by Nick Scopus. What a combination.
Bill Grohl, 1972 Derby King. It's not often you're going to fool him, but Nick Scopus picked up the advantage in that score now. The Eastern Chiefs 8, the Pioneers 6. We're coming up on the 6-minute mark. And for you fans who'd like to get a copy of the Roller Derby rules, enjoy the simple game. Just send that postcard to Rules, Roller Derby, Post Office Box 1828, Oakland, California, 94604. You'll get your free copy of the rules. Don, something all fans should have, makes the games on television so much more fun to enjoy.
Certainly does. Here's another speedy jammer for the Pioneers moving out. It's John Rice, and again he's out with number 47, John Early. 1-1 on the move. Jammers moving along at a good clip. Rice sets that mark. Early attempting to stay with him, taking a few additional steps to stay with Rice. Very speedy jammer out there. Rice maintains the lead. Early moves to the inside, drives Rice into the rail, almost completely over. Rice hanging on, but Early will be facing one of the toughest blockers in the league today. Number 58, Ronnie Robinson. Robinson giving the advantage of blocking back to John Rice. There's something you don't see too often, Chad. A jammer doing the blocking when the Pioneers don't have a jammer out. Early catching a sharp elbow block. This time it's time for the punishment to be turned around. Rice doing the job back there. Armada breaking late for the Pioneers. He's moving in now. Almost identical goal coming back. Missing the block. Armada sliding down. He went off of the track. He went to the infield. He is being signaled back. I don't believe he picked up the point. That makes Early the lead jammer. Was called off. There was no score. Armada slid to the infield. He was then ineligible to score.
Don't forget, for you fans along the Pioneer Network, you'll be seeing the Red Devils in action. That's right, Bob Woodbury and Calvello and company, the fabulous Red Devils, in action against the Bombers, with Walt Harris calling the play-by-play. So you can just get yourself an eyeful of what this club is all about before they make their way into the Midwest. I know you fans back in Chicago want to get a look at this revamped club with Bobby Seaver and Rosetta Saunders. And Don, I know the fans out in the East can look forward to a big series with the Chiefs and the Devils.
Yes, they can. A very, very short series, just 1 or 2 games in your area. And we'll tell you more about that right after this jam, because we've got 2 of the best out here again and moving. It's 50, Coach Nick Scopus, men's captain. 45, Mike Gammon of the Chiefs. 2 competitors to the inside. Gammon throws a block. Scopus again scrambles back. Sidestep by Gammon. Gammon back up on the block. Scopus put down. Hine and Grohl both going down, but Gammon is now moving in scoring position. All skaters back on their skates. Bob Hine again back to do the blocking. Low elbow block in by Grohl. Gammon trying to leapfrog over the top. Hine is down, and the warning goes out to Gammon. Tending to the blocking. Grohl going to the rear of that pack. Gammon approaching again. Grohl going in. Block thrown in. Gammon tries to run his way through. Skater's taken down. Gammon up. Scobus takes the lead on the jam. It's called off. The official decision, there were 4 chief points picked up by Mike Gammon. The assist coming of Bill Grohl. The score now, the Chiefs 12, the Pioneers 6.
Mike Gammon, IRDL scoring champion the past 2 seasons, shows what it's all about. Don't forget, for you fans in the Midwest and South area, Pioneers Red Devils, Tuesday, June 19th, Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Wednesday, June 20th, Civic Coliseum in Knoxville. They're in the amphitheater in Chicago, Illinois, 43rd and Halstead Street. Friday, June 22nd, 8 p.m. start. Saturday, June 23rd, Crown Point, Indiana, Crown Point High School, and Ronnie Robinson leads out the locomotive. It's back to Don Drury.
Again, the pack is formed, Chet. The Jammers trying to make their way forward up out of that pack to start the scoring option. They have now broken loose. The Chiefs with 2, and it's Robinson coming out with a pivot helmet on. This club has really got a lot of spark. Great Jammers. Robinson busts through the middle of a double block. One skater down. Perez moves up. Sidestep by Robinson. Joe Perez stays right on the jam with Robinson. Experience showing. Block from the outside. Perez put down. And the Chiefs sending Sam Tiapula back on defense. Robinson moving in offensively. Blocked to the outside. Stop. Hit him along that rail. Perez up and moving again. He's about a half a lap behind. Tiapula second waiting. Grohl calling the instructions back to Tiapula. They now form a double block in the rear. Grohl and Tiapula. Robinson moving in. Perez directly behind him. Robinson looking back. Sees that Chief Jammer moving up. Comes this squat throw. He's in for the score. The jam called off. There were 2 Pioneer points scored by Ronnie Robinson.
Captain Ronnie Robinson puts it together for the Pioneers. And now the Chief lead has been cut. But the Eastern champions still lead at 12-8. And if I can help any of you fans out there with a question about one of the Pioneers or the Chiefs, or any question you might have about roller derby in general, feel free to drop me a line. We've been receiving better than 1,000 letters a week. Right, yours truly, Chet Kopic, care of NES, 300 North State Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60610 on the zip code.
The pack being reorganized, Chet, and you see the Pioneers are really trying to pick up the points here. They've got both Scopus and Hine with a Jammers helmet on. Mike Gammon breaks loose first, but it's Bob Hine coming out for the Pioneers. This is a man that can really move on the track, and he's taking up the chase on Gammon. One of the fastest men on the bank track today, if not the fastest. Gammon takes a shoulder block from Hine, stays in stride. Gammon back down, sidestep by Hine. Quick agility throw, late block by Hine. Bob Hine moving in a scoring position. Bill Grohl calling back to Mike Gammon. Grohl, sharp elbow blocking to Hine, hits him with another one. Gammon now moves back in a scoring position. Gammon digging in. Comes in, jump block. Grohl taken out, Hine down. Hine to the inside, still going. Bill Grohl back moving after Bob Hine. Second effort. Tiapula taking into the rail. Hine walking through. Gammon back up. Hine sidesteps lead. Still going. Grohl trying to catch up with him. Gammon moves in. The jam called off. There were 3 Pioneer points scored by Bob Hine. Grohl after Hine down the turn draws a penalty.
Rounding out those dates in the Midwest on the Pioneers Red Devil Series in June. Crown Point, Indiana is the spot. The Crown Point High School, Saturday, June 23rd, Pioneers against Woodbury and the Devils. Sunday, June 24th, they're in South Bend, Indiana at the Notre Dame Convocation Center. June 25th, a Monday, finds the Pioneers and Red Devils in Central High School Fieldhouse, Flat River, Missouri, and they round it out Thursday, June 28th, Delphi Community High School in Delphi, Indiana. Don, we're out of time in number 2.
The score at the end of the second period, the Chiefs 12 and the Pioneers 11.
Back we are in the turf, the Civic Center in Hammond, Indiana. I'm Chet Kopic along with Don Drury, my good friend and television voice of the Eastern Chiefs. Now the female Willers will take over. We have 24 minutes remaining, 2 12-minute stanzas to round out the first half of play. And Sandy Dunn is out and moving with teammate Carolyn Moreland, and they put down the Ebony Spunk, Rita Williams. 5 on 4. The Chiefs are shorthanded. Linda Sacco is in the penalty box. Here comes Darlene Forbes. Moving the beat with the long red hair. Goes inside and takes down 2 green and gold skaters. And Rita Williams seizes the advantage. Forbes again goes to work on Carolyn Moreland. 11:20 remaining in number 3. And now Rita Williams can take her time and measure the strides as she moves around the Pioneer turn and picks up encouragement from John Rice. She'll challenge Sandy Dunn, and Sandy connects. Williams again, and down she goes, but she's up again with the resiliency. It's been a skating game so far on both sides. Fans in Hammond going to work on their lungs, but good. Dunn connects. And the hands are outstretched by referees Canella and Lou Donovan. There will be no points on this play, and Dunn, what looked like it would be a solid offensive by the Pioneers once Forbes was able to rid her teammates of Sandy Dunn and Carolyn Moreland, two very proficient skaters. It looked like we had something going. But maybe that's why the Chiefs have been so successful the past several seasons.
Well, they've been successful in the past several seasons there, Chet, but in this particular series, the Pioneers have really been strong. And, you know, a lot of the fans out on the West Coast are going to have an opportunity to see two of the greatest clubs in the league today, if not the two best. Certainly the world champion Chiefs and, of course, the Midwest Pioneers, who have not lost a series all season. They're going to be in Eureka, California, July 23rd. Coos Bay, Oregon, July 25th. Portland, Oregon, July 26th. Many exciting games coming up there in the Northwest with these two great clubs.
After this play, Dunn, I'd like to have you go over that Red Devil unit for us, if you will. They have got talent from top to bottom. We have 4 skaters out and moving on this play. Out of the 50 series, 53, Sherry Erich. 56, Susie Neibauer for the Pioneers. Or check me on that, that's 51, Lanika Sunovich, moving out with her teammate Neibauer. For the Chiefs, there you see, with the pivot helmet on is Sandy Dunn. Oh, I'll tell you something. There's a girl who can turn it around for any club in this league. There's not a skating unit in the IRDL who wouldn't treasure the services of Sandy Dunn. And here comes Sandy against Darlene Forbes. Down is a Pioneer skater. That is Kasanovich. Now Dunn beckoning her teammates, screaming at Moreland for assistance. She can't make it happen. Neibauer stepped inside. Action slowing down at the pack. We're at the 9-minute mark here in number 3. And down goes Sandy Dunn as Darlene Forbes connects again. Action in the pack has come to a standstill. And finally, Sandy Dunn puts the hands on the hips and calls it off. But there will be 2 points. 2 points for the world champions on this play. Don, what else can you tell us about that Red Devil unit?
Well, I can, Chet. They've got a tremendous lineup. First of all, you're going back to a man that spent 20 years plus in the International Roller Derby League. The infield coach, Mr. Ken Monty. Tremendous man. He hasn't had too many world champion teams, but he's always developed world champion players. Mike Gammett started with Ken Monty in 1958. He's produced Bob Woodbury into one of the greatest blockers in the league today. Ann Calvello has been with him for many seasons, and she's always been championship material. Just a strong team in general. One of the toughest teams probably the fans are going to see this season.
We'll have more on those Pioneer and Chief dates coming up later on. Now the momentum that the Midwest Club had established has been temporarily taken away. They must regroup, and that's one way to start. You send out Candy Jones, and she went to work on Pokey Truman, and the little Chief skater went up on the rail and came right back on the track. Here comes Jones. She's all by herself. Around the Chief turn, she will pick up the assistance of teammate Darlene Forbes, who's got to do yeoman work in this game due to the fact that Joan Weston is out of action taking care of some personal affairs. Don't worry, you fans of the Golden Girls, she will be back very soon. I'm sure the next time you go out to watch the Midwest Pioneers in action, Joan Weston will be there and skating. Off the whip, she'll test Moreland once again. That is Candy Jones, and down she goes. Once again, and Carolyn Moreland, out of a blocking capacity, doing exceptionally fine blocking work as we come up on the 7-minute mark. And Darlene Forbes gives her a belt once, twice, 1 point for the Midwest Club. Now Sandy Dunn will be tested. Forbes picks up the steam. We're not on jam time. Will Candy Jones score? No, she will not. There will be 1 point for the Midwest Club. Don, how about some of those Northwest Tour dates?
The Pioneers and the Chiefs, again, will be up there in the Northwest. They will be coming down to the University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington on July 27th. They'll be in Bellingham, Washington at the Ice Arena July 28th. July 30th, they'll be at Aquarium, Washington. July 31st, they will be in Seattle. Tremendous response in Seattle. Be sure and get your tickets early. And all of these dates mentioned, 2 of the greatest clubs you're going to see throughout the season. This season, last season, any season coming up. Both of these clubs, just tremendous talent. The Pioneers will have the addition of Larry Smith and Francine Koshu, along with already a great men's field, and of course Joan Weston and Candy Jones out there.
Francine Koshu has got to help that Pioneer women's field. She could really add some cohesiveness to a unit which is already very, very strong. Out and moving is Sandy Dunn, jersey number 46, green and gold for the world champions. Right behind her, Susie Neibauer for the Pioneers. Then Neibauer's teammate, Monika Sanovich. And rounding out the 4 players moving at is Carolyn Moreland, and down. Down go 2 Chief skaters. And the enthusiasm from the fans in Hammond begins to assert itself. As we're under 6 minutes to play here in period number 3. The world champions with a 3-point edge. Now Sandy Dunn faces a one-on-one situation. She moves back in the pack and leaves it to teammate Carolyn Moreland, who is wearing a striped helmet. She could jam on this play, but she has chose to remain in the pack and do some blocking, and she's done yeoman work so far. Neibauer, she can't make it happen. Now the strategy session. Jammers out on the prowl. Moving on for the Chiefs now is Barbara Baker, but she's got a long ways to go, and we're almost out of time, and the Pioneers are on the scoreboard with a deuce. The strategy session between Neibauer and Kosanovich resulted in something which was effective, and the Pioneers have cut that margin down to 1 at 15 to 14.
I want to point out to a lot of the fans in the areas that they're watching these roller derby games on. If they'd like more information about upcoming games in their area, they can send a postcard to mailing list, Roller Derby, Post Office Box 1828, Oakland, California, 94604. Be sure and include your zip code number and the station on which you are now watching this program. You'll be informed of all of the upcoming dates and the teams coming into your area well in advance.
It's a must for all regular roller derby fans to have. Get yourself on the mailing list, get the rules, get a subscription to Roller Derby Illustrated. And Don, when are you going to attack me again in your column?
I don't like to attack anybody. I just talk about the games that I see, Chet, and the ones that are most impressive to me. And I'd have to say, out of all the series I've seen, the most impressive team has really been with the Pioneers this season.
You know, Dan, no matter where you go throughout this great league, as the safari begins once again, there is strength and talent on every club in the IRDL. There is no weak sister around. Linda Sacco, striped helmet, moves out for the first time for the world champions. And here come 2 Pioneer skaters out and on the safari. First is Rita Williams. Then comes Candy Jones. 3:52 remaining in the 3rd period. Pioneers need themselves a point, and they are shorthanded by 1 skater. Darlene Forbes has taken a spell in the sin bin. Up front, Erich and Neibauer trying to slow it down. And Don, as I studied action in the pack,
there were 2 chief points picked up there by Sacco. She passed both Sherry Erich and Sue Neibauer. Both clubs were short-handed. Just prior to that jam, Forbes and Dunn both entangling down in the Pioneer turn. Unnecessary roughness calls. Both teams felt 4 at that time. We're fielding 4 at that time. And they're both back to full strength right now with the Chiefs on top by 3. 17 to 14 here in the 3rd period.
Full strength means 5 on 5. 2 blockers, 2 jammers. And 1 lady will operate out of the pivot. As they begin to regroup, you see Darlene Forbes, and you see Candy Jones and Sherry Erich, Sue Neibauer and Monika Sanovich. That makes up the roster for the Midwest Pioneers, minus the services of Joan Weston. And now the surge begins. You can hear the wheels start to hum. Olga Corbett, who reminds me so much of Pokey Truman, the great USSR gymnast, moves out with Sue Neibauer. Corbett will sacrifice just a little bit of side, but believe me, she makes it up in speed. And the jam has been called off. There will be no points either way. And Don, what else do you have on those Northwest Tour dates?
Well, we only have 2 more, Chet. We have 2 more to mention. Or 3 more rather. August the 1st, we're going to be in Spokane, Washington at the Coliseum there. Again, this great Chief team and, of course, this powerful Pioneer team. Then August the 2nd, Yakima, Washington. And August 3rd in Walla Walla, Washington. You know, many fans have asked how they can become a roller derby skater, and there's only one way. You've got to learn to skate the bank track. There are 2 training schools in operation right now, and 1 for the Pioneer fans here in Chicago. The Pioneer Training Center, located in the amphitheater, 43 South Holstead, Chicago, Illinois. For information, you can phone 376-7050.
The Pioneer Training Center, 4300 South Halstead. Learn to skate like Rita Williams of the Midwest Pioneers, who moves out on this jam. 5 on 5, full strength, joined by Carolyn Moreland. And the Gypsy Doodle, Bango and Hammond. Rita Williams picks it up, and here comes Sandy Dunn. The women's captain of this Chief team is out to test Rita Williams. If I was little Rita, I'd run if I had to face a physical mismatch like this one. And here comes Dunn. Out of left field, nothing, down she goes. Little Rita around the Chief turn. 1:12 remaining here in the third period. Chiefs 17, Pioneers 14. I'm Chet Kopic along with Don Drury. Now Dunn crouches low with that big frame and connects on the midsection of Rita Williams. Forbes moves on through, but to no avail. Kind of like running through the wall and leaving the barn door open after the horse is left. Darlene again, down go two Chief skaters. Up and over goes Rita Williams. 3 Midwest Pioneer points, and the jam has been called off. Dave Cannella puts the hands in the air and then moves in to play peacemaker as Sandy Dunn, a little bit frustrated, this great women's captain of the Eastern Chiefs, down on her knees being attended to by the trackside trainer, Deke Andre. As we're just about out of time in number 3, and we've got ourselves a tie game, and here comes the action. The tempers begin to flare on both sides. And Don, as we move into number 4, neither team can really afford a penalty at this point.
No,
That with a tie score.
They really can't, Chet, but the Chiefs have picked them up. I believe Sandy Dunn or Carolyn Moreland have picked up a penalty for slugging. Williams taken to the infield. And time running out in this period.
At the end of 3 with the score, Pioneers 17, Chiefs 17. Let's pause for a moment. As we pick up number 4, I'll give the microphone to the television voice of the Eastern Chiefs, Don Drury.
This play in progress, Chet. Number 43, Joe Perez for the Chiefs, out and moving. Followed by number 53, John Harmon of the Pioneers. The Chiefs at a disadvantage. They have only 3 skaters on the track. Moreland and Dunn both picking up penalties at the end of the third period for slugging. With a score tied 17-17. Perez comes back with a block from the outside. Harmon slow down. Harmon moves in. Shoulder block. Dumped again by Joe Perez. Men's captain Ronnie Robinson back on defense for the Pioneers at the rear of that pack. Perez moving into scoring position at the rear. Perez moves up to the outside. Robinson steps up in front. Good block. Early going to work on Rice up in that back. Rice checked into the rail. Perez moving by for 1. Robinson again comes back with a block. Early moves to the inside. Frank Williams taken out by Bill Grohl. Perez places his hands on his hips. He picks up 2 Chief points to break the tie and go into the lead 19-17.
Don't forget you fans back in Chicago. Saturday, June 10th, 7 p.m. at the Amphitheater. Final series of the season for the Pioneers against the awesome Red Devils. That means infield coach Ken Monty, Bob Woodbury, Ann Calvello, Bobby Seaver, Rosetta Saunders, JoJo Stafford, and 240-pound female Samoan, Aloha Linda Villanueva. Pioneers have just 2 more dates in the Amphitheater in June. That's the 10th and the 22nd, and they're out of the area for nearly 4 months. Get your tickets at Ticketron and get out there on the 10th and 22nd.
Jam started. Number 44, Larry Lee, moving out for the Chiefs. Pioneers still trying to break a jammer out. Bill Grohl out with a pivot helmet on. Nick Scobus making a charge. Side step by Scobus. Grohl going into the rail. Coach Nick Scobus taking up the chase on Larry Lee. Lee with almost a third of a lap lead, and Scobus closing with every step he takes. Easy strides along the track now. Both jammers move in. Scobus to the inside. Shoulder block takes the lead on the jam. Lee scrambling right back down. Shoulder block to the Pioneer turn. Robinson, Grohl back to the blocking at the rear of that pack. Scobus dumping Larry Lee. Grohl set waiting. Scobus moves up. Elbow block to the outside. Hits him with another one. Again, Scobus trying to fight his way through for Pioneer points. Lee coming up again. Lee moves up. He'll be challenging Robinson. Robinson drops back. High elbow block up to the head of Larry Lee. A warning goes out to Robinson on the 20-foot rule. Leg block thrown into the midsection of Nick Scobus, back by Bill Grohl. Grohl set. Good. Low elbow block thrown in. Sets him up. Leg block thrown. Robinson back with a block. Elbow block back by Grohl now. Grohl set and waiting. Another leg block thrown back. Scobus down. Time in the jam starting to expire. It does. Time runs out. No score. We want to remind all of the fans in the East that the Chiefs will be coming home during the summer for 1 series against the Red Devils, the team that the Eastern fans did not have a chance to see all through the Eastern League 72-73 season. They will be there in the summertime. 1 series only, just a very few games to be played. August the 5th, the Chiefs and the Red Devils with infield coach Ken Monty, Bob Woodbury, Bob Sievers, Ann Calvello, and Rosetta Saunders will be at the Comac Arena, the Long Island Arena in Comac. August the 6th, the Chiefs and the Red Devils will be at the Bingham Memorial Arena in Boone County. That is in Bingham, New York. Coming up on August the 8th at the War Memorial Auditorium, the Red Devils and the Chiefs will be in Syracuse. Again, that's Syracuse at the War Memorial Auditorium, August the 8th. August the 9th, Glen Falls, New York, the Glen Falls Senior High School Gym. This jam in progress. It's number 59, John Rice, out and moving for the Pioneers. The Chiefs, without a potential score, out moving on the play. Is set number 42, Sam Tiapula, back on defense. Rice moving in. He's in scoring position. He's got about 30 seconds to go. High elbow block thrown back by Tiapula. Tiapula steps up in front. Another elbow block thrown back to the outside. Shoulder block thrown. Warning going out to Tiapula, pretending goes blocking. Leg block thrown into the rear of that back. Again, a warning drawn by Tiapula. The back slowed down by the Pioneers. John Early comes back. Shoulder block. Rice up now. He's still learning to get a jammer out. Rice down on the track. Hamada coming out. John Rice back up. Joe Perez now out number 2 to win the play. Rice into the block. Perez slowed down. Early check back. Perez taking the lead. The jam called off. No score. Perez forced to cut that jam off to protect his teammate.
Dan, I believe that Bob Hine of the Pioneers may be penalized or just picked up a warning, but he took a swipe at John Early at that Pioneer term with his over-enthusiasm or rambunctiousness. And I couldn't tell by the signal from Lou Donovan whether or not the bald eagle will sit, but I think it's indicative of the kind of fiery spirit we've seen in this series, wherever it's been.
Well, Chet, two of the best clubs in the league right here. The Chiefs and the Pioneers. We want to point out that the Chiefs will be playing the Red Devils with Ken Monty, Bob Woodbury, Bob Severs, and Ann Calvello. The game coming up August the 11th, New York City, the Belt Forum in Madison Square Garden. This is a smaller portion of the Garden. It seats 4,000 people. All seats are great for watching roller derby, but again, the seating is limited. Be sure and get your tickets as soon as possible. The jam underway. Gammon back with a whip. Grohl going out. Robinson trying to fight his way by Gammon. Dumps him. Now Robinson taking him the chase on Bill Grohl. Both pivot skaters out and moving on the play. Two veterans on the move. Grohl with the lead. Robinson in pursuit. Robinson to the outside. Grohl hits him back with a shoulder. Robinson inside. Grohl put down. Nick Scopas back to lead the way. Tiapula back on the bench. Robinson approaching the rear of the back. Tiapula set. Bill Grohl up and moving again. Coming out of the corner of the Pioneer turn. Both jammers moving in. Tiapula set. Robinson moves inside set. Still going. Jam called off. There was one Pioneer point picked up by Ronnie Robinson. The Chief lead cut to 2, 20-18.
Don't forget, regarding the Red Devils, you fans back along the Midwest Pioneer Roller Derby Network, you'll see the Red Devils in action against the Bay Bombers during the next several weeks, with Walt Harris calling the play-by-play, so you can get a taste of what this great club led by Woodbury and Ann Calvello is all about. Don't forget, 10th and 22nd of June. They're back in Chicago's amphitheater in Chicago, Illinois. Saturday, June 23rd, Crown Point, Indiana, Crown Point High School. On the 24th, South Bend, Indiana, Notre Dame Convocation Center at 2 p.m. start. Don, let's pick it up.
The pack being reorganized right now with the Chiefs on top by 2, 20-18. Pack reorganized. The whistle sounds. The offensive jammers make their way forward from the rear of that pack. The Pioneers with John Harmada going out. He's beat out of the pack by number 43, Joe Perez. A blocking duel going on in the rear. John Rice working on John Early. Another block thrown in by John Rice in the rear of that pack. Early backing off. Perez takes the lead away from Harmada. Harmada directly behind him. The blocking continues in the rear. Two jammers racing into scoring position. Early looking back, looking to assist his teammate. Harmada directly behind him. Both jammers coming up. Blocked by both Pioneers. Harmada in for the score. Still going. Jam called off. There was one Pioneer point picked up by John Harmada. The Chief lead cut down to 1, 20-19. 4 minutes, 44 seconds remaining here in the first half. Chet, I want to remind all of the fans back in the East. Again, we said this was a very short series, the only one of the summer for the Chiefs, and that will be against the Red Devils with Ken Monty on the infield, Bob Woodbury and Bob Severs. On August the 12th, the Chiefs and the Red Devils will be at the RPI Fieldhouse in Troy, New York. Always a sellout there. Make sure you get your tickets well in advance. August the 13th, the Chiefs and the Red Devils will be in Kingston, New York, at the Dietz Memorial Stadium. August the 14th, Clifton, New Jersey. August 17th, the Springfield Civic Center, Springfield, Massachusetts. And the end of this series, August 18th, the Long Island Arena, the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Larry Lee, Bob Hine out and moving on the play. Hine moves to the inside. There's a side step by Lee. Lee back to the inside, shoulder block. Hine again put down. Second time here in the first half. Bill Grohl going to work on Scopas. Block doesn't take. Scopas comes back with a shoulder block to the outside to stop Larry Lee. Hine again moves into scoring contention at the rear of the field. Elbow block back by Grohl. Scopas hit back, taken down. Lee looking to eliminate the opposition. Good shoulder block again. Hine put to the Masonite. Grohl back on the assist. Block to the inside. Charge. Moving forward. Power play by the Chiefs. The pack lifted. There were 4 Chief points scored. And the Chiefs now lead by 5 points, 24-19 over the Pioneers.
And don't forget, for you fans who haven't picked up as yet on Roller Derby Illustrated, now is the time to do so. See the great new newspaper, 24 issues a year, 24 moments of great reading. Roller Derby Illustrated. Now to get a free copy, send your name to Roller Derby Illustrated, Box 17, General Post Office, New York, New York, 10001. Get yourself a copy of Roller Derby Illustrated with columns by yours truly, Walt Harris, and the man I'll hand the mic to now, John Drury.
Chad, Ronnie Robinson picked up a penalty for tripping after the play, and the Pioneers are now shorthanded. It shows the Chiefs break the first jammer out. Number 47, John Early. The pivot skater right now, number 51, Bill Hill. He takes up the chase, unable to break a jammer loose. That's the option of the pivot skater. Jammer coming out. The pivot skater then eligible to score. So you have 2 potential scorers on the move right now. Hill with the lead for the Pioneers. Early back there for the Chiefs. Both potential scorers again move into scoring position at the rear of the pack. It's John Rice back on defense for the Pioneers. The Chiefs will have 42, Tiapula back. Elbow block to the outside. Hill makes a move on Tiapula, coming down the straightaway. Shoulder block stops, scrambles up again. Another block thrown back by Tiapula. Again, Hill moves in. Again to the outside. Tiapula steps up, slows him down. Early coming up on the block. And number 51, Bill Hill put to the track coming out of the Pioneer turn. 47 Early still attempts to score. Penalty time expiring. Robinson back onto the track. He comes in with a block early, trying to move Tiapula out of the way. Tiapula checked to the infield, not in time. No score. No score on the play. The score remains the Chiefs 24, the Pioneers 19. 1 minute, 35 seconds remaining here in the first half. Pioneers trying to get the pack back into formation, down by 5 points. Again, we remind you, back in the East, a very short series, the 5th through the 18th, the only series of the summer for the Chiefs. And again, they'll be in competition against the Red Devils, the team that you did not get to see last season. Bob Woodbury, Bob Severs, Ken Monty, many, many more. Don't forget a special interview coming up with Nick Scopus right after this half, so be sure and stay tuned. Right now, we've got Bob Hine and Mike Gammon on the play. Gammon, check back by Hine, down to one skate, fighting, finally goes down. Hine comes in with a block, and the Pioneers now are the only scoring threat on the play. Bob Hine moving out. Larry Lee breaks late for the Chiefs, but Hine is already in the rear of the pack. The Pioneers looking for a score, down by 5. Bill Roll back to do the blocking, and the rear of the pack comes in with an elbow block. The pack bunched up. Lee now approaches for the Chiefs. Robinson drops back. Scopus on the assist for Hine. Robinson now up there. 3 skaters crisscrossing back and forth. Scopus pulls up. Robinson comes up. Hine comes up. Roll has got his work cut out for Robinson. Drive inside. Hine put down. Or Roll put down rather. Hine still going. Scopus with a block. Tiapula taken out. The jam called off. There were 3 Pioneer points scored by Bob Hine. Tremendous team effort on the play. 24-22. If they get a jam started, it'll run the full 60 seconds. Remember to stay tuned for the special interview with Nick Scopus right at the end of this half. And time in the first half has run out. The score right now at the end of the first half, the Chiefs 24 and the Pioneers 22. Tremendous action here at the Hammond Civic Center between the Chiefs and the Pioneers. And we want to remind all of the fans, many exciting games coming up with the Chiefs. A very short series, the only one of the summer in the New York area and throughout the East. That's from the 5th of August through the 18th. Games at the Felt Forum, limited seating. Be sure and get your tickets well in advance. Bob Woodbury, Ken Monty will be there. Again, we want to remind you to be sure and stay tuned for this special interview coming up with Chet Kopic and Nick Scopus. Nick Scopus, the coach of this Pioneer team, the man who assisted Bob Hine in for those 3 points at the end of the first half. The final score, or the score at the end of the first half, rather, the Chiefs 24, the Pioneers 22.
Back we are, halftime at the Civic Center in Hammond, Indiana. The score right now, Chiefs 24, the Midwest Pioneers 22. A big second half coming up, of course. Plenty of time for the Pioneer team to not only tie the game, but go on and win the game. And here's a guy who can tell us how they're going to do it, Nick Scopus.
Well, we're going to try and do it. This Chief team is a very, very powerful team. It's one of the strongest in the league. Naturally, they're the ex-world champs. Well, they are the world champs. We hope to make them the ex-world champs. We haven't lost a series. We need this game to tie the series with them. We beat them in their own hometown. We hope they don't beat us here.
Nick, theoretically, when a club gets done with the Eastern Chiefs, you'd kind of like to have a breather. But that's not going to be the case for the Midwest Pioneers, and fans in the Midwest have been alerted. The Red Devils are coming. The reformed Red Devils, led by Bob Woodbury, the great Ann Calvello, one of the real legends on the bank track on the female side. Their infield coach, of course, is Ken Monty. They have Rosetta Saunders, JoJo Stafford, and a 240-pound female Samoan, Aloha Linda Villanueva. And what does she outweigh you by, about 10 or 15 pounds?
Maybe if you put a couple of zeros behind that, maybe. I don't know about this. I've never seen her skate. I know you're going to have one of the great all-time rivalries between Calvello and Weston when Annie comes out. Naturally, you got Ken Monty coaching from the infield, who's one of the greatest tacticians of this game that ever was, and ever will be, probably. And then you got Woodbury, who's one of the all-time all-star. He's made every all-star team since he's been skating.
You know, you mentioned that match race, or you didn't really mention the match race. You mentioned the rivalry between Ann Calvello and Joan Weston. They will meet on the 10th of June in Chicago's International Amphitheater, 4 laps blocking, Joan Weston versus Ann Calvello. And I kind of hope they have the roof with extra supports that night, because that figures to be something.
It should be. It should be one of the best match races of the year. They've always hassled pretty well amongst themselves, you know, and they've both been skating for a long time. I don't want to start quoting years. I don't know if they want that, but they've both been on a bank track for many, many years, and they're both great. And it's a toss-up as to who will win it, you know, really is. I'd like to see Joni win it, but then again, you can never tell what Calvello's going to do.
Nick, whenever you talk about Bob Woodbury, you're talking about a very, very proficient skater who's got the big size and is willing to go out there and dish it out a little bit. He's very physical. That's the way he likes to play the game. That's the way he has always played the game, and I'm sure that the series in the Midwest with the Pioneers in June will be no different. Nevertheless, Bob Hine told me that he felt Bob Woodbury could be rattled, if that's the right term, that if you could get this guy thinking about other things, you could begin to decrease his overall ability.
He can be distracted very, very easily, especially if he's always watching the outside of the track. In other words, like if he's in the center of the track blocking, he's always watching the outside for any type of move. And if you're up there dancing around on him, you don't even have to come near him. He's going to start watching you, and he'll forget about that jammer. And he's done that for years and years, and we're waiting to catch him with it.
Nick, thank you, buddy.
Okay, you're quite welcome, Chet.
Our guest has been Nick Skopas. Don't forget, big second half coming up. For Don Drury and myself, I'm Chet Kopic. Goodbye, everybody.